Good morning, it's Lisa with Lisa Heal Yourself, and today I want to talk about the trauma and the illness identity, your sick person identity. Okay, so you can just insert anything here if you have chronic fatigue, or if you have cancer, or if you have illness, if you have anxiety, if you have depression, if you have PTSD, you just insert that in here. Blank identity. So this has become your identity. And when something's become your identity, your illness has taken over and become your identity, or your anxiety has become your identity, your pain has become your identity, or your memory, a memory has become your identity, a trauma that happened in the past. That's a PTSD thing, like you went to war, or you were raped, or you had this traumatic thing happen. It's in the past, you know it's in the past, but it still is your identity because that story has become your identity. Okay, so I want you to first know that there's always positives and negatives to anything. There's always yin and yang to every situation. There's always more than one way to look at something, okay? And we have gotten really good at looking and identifying with the negative, with the strong negatives that make up this story that have now become our identity. So what we want to do here, and this is what to do, but before I get to what to do, I just want to state that there's always a positive and negative to every situation, and it's what we choose to identify with and to talk about, what descriptions and visuals we choose to play in our head, words we choose to speak to ourselves in our brain about what happened. Okay, so say you have an illness, or you have a condition, or you have PTSD, or you have some sort of a memory, a traumatic past that you can't seem to let go of, that makes you who you are, and you hold this as an identity. Let's start with this one. So I want you to think about it, and I want you to go back to that time, whether it's in your childhood, your teens, whether this happened to you as an adult. Let's just pretend that you have, we're going to do a situation here. Let's pretend that you have severe back pain, and you've had back pain for 5 years, and it's severe, and it's destroying your life, and you have an identity around this. And the trigger to this back pain was a car accident that you had 5 years ago, and a drunk driver hit you and came out of nowhere and hit you. And as a result of that accident, you now have this severe back pain that has limited many areas of your life. So if this won't be your exact situation, but just use this as an example of a trauma from the past that is creating an identity for today. We take out a piece of paper, or even just mentally do this exercise. It's better on paper. But tell me about it. Tell me all the negative, bad things that this accident has now done to your life, the story that you tell yourself every day. This should be an easy exercise, right? Like, it wasn't fair. This person hit me. This person was drunk. It wasn't fair. My husband and I split up because of it, because of this pain. I can't have children because of this pain. I lost my job. I'm now jobless because of this pain. I can't work anymore. I can't walk. I can't go for my exercises. I'm spending my life suffering, and it's all because of this, right? So you write down all the negatives, right? You lost your husband. You can't have children. You can't walk anymore. You lost your job, right? You have no income, whatever it is. You write all these things down. Now, get very, very clear on this. I want you to go to the other side of the page, or a new page entirely, and I want you to write down all the positives around what happened. And I know some of you might have strong resistance to this exercise because it's so bad, and you're also stuck in a pattern of only reminding yourselves about the bad, okay? But this you really need to open up your mind for, and I really want you to get real about this, right? Let's find the good. So a drunk driver hit me. So go back to that. And now we say, I didn't die. I survived. Somebody helped me. I saw the compassion that day of some helpers, some people who pulled me out, who helped me. You know, I was saved. My life was spared that day. Because of the pain, you know, my marriage broke up, but I now realized that person wasn't the person who was suited for me. That I deserve better, that I deserve more, somebody to stick it out with me. I learned an incredible lesson from that. You know, I lost my job, and it gives me an opportunity now to find a new job, to find what I like, to focus on my passions, to see how I can be of value to people in this world. It helped me become stronger, more resilient. It showed me qualities in myself that I never thought I would have before in order to make it this far, like strength and endurance and resilience. It made me more compassionate as a human being. I understand now about tragedy. It made me a more empathetic person. I have so much more to give. Now, you know, I can't have children, or I didn't think I could have children because of it, but maybe I can. Maybe just because I have pain, it doesn't mean that I don't have incredibly valuable things to do or to teach or to go and teach other children about this, right? So now, once you write down your whole list, right? My husband left me, but I realized I had an incredible friend who came around, who never gave up on me, who always calls and checks in on me. I found out who my real family is. Okay? So you write down all these things and you just look at it. And now, oh, here comes the dog. And now, when you're about to tell your story to somebody else, to yourself, like what happened to you, like who, you know, why are you feeling this way, or why are you the way you are? You don't say, oh, because I got in a car accident 5 years ago and I lost my husband and my job and I wasn't able to, and now I live with this chronic pain. Your story might go like this instead. You know, 5 years ago I got in an accident that completely changed my life. I found out who my real family was, my real friends. I found out about some strengths I never knew I had. I found that I had more courage than I ever knew. I had more strength and more resilience than I ever knew. And it set me up for a life to give back to some children, to the community, to other people in need who are hurt and who need some of my wisdom. Now, that's a completely different way to look at the same story. And it's the way you're not talking to yourself about this story, right? It's the identity that you haven't chosen to hold on to. You've chosen to hold on to the identity that is negative, that plays the negative, looping victimhood messages. Instead of choosing to hold on to a story that's full of promise and hope and taking your power back. You know, somebody who has cancer might say, you know, I've now learned about diets and lifestyle and sleep and friendship and about how thoughts matter. And I've learned so many great lessons from this. It's made me into a more compassionate person. It's made me realize what my priorities are in life. I sense my own courage and determination to make it through. I understand now what it takes to be a healed person, mind, body, and spirit. Right? So these lessons, you know, someone who's lost somebody in their life, lost a spouse, lost a parent, lost a child, you know, the pain of going through that, what are the good things about that? I made some really great friends. I now have these great friends in my life that I wouldn't have. I know how to love other people better. I realize about loving people in the moment and not taking anything for granted. It's given me a chance to live my life in a different way with a different message, and to not take things for granted, right? And to love like there is no tomorrow, because there might not be. So you have to learn how to tell your story. And first you have to write it down. You really have to really think about all the positives that have come out of that situation. And I know you're saying there's none, but there always are some. There always are some. So we're not lying to ourselves here. We're not saying this thing that's happened or is happening, I'm gonna lie and I'm gonna change it so I pretend that it's not as bad as it is. No, you're just looking for the opposites. You're looking for something that has come out of it that's good. You're looking for a different thing to focus on. So the fact that it happened or is happening and wasn't good is still there. But now what we choose to say to ourselves, say to others, think about, obsess on, let these images play in our mind, are a story from a different perspective. They're from a powerful perspective. They're from a perspective of love. They're from a perspective of gratitude. They're from a different perspective. And I know this can be really challenging to do, but I urge you to start to tell your story, your identity of having chronic fatigue, or your identity of having anxiety, or your identity of having pain or having cancer or having a chronic illness, your identity of a past traumatic experience, PTSD, a deep loss, an event that happened that changed your life, right? I want you to start to reframe that story, and you are going to really dig deep, to really think about the positives, to really think about the good in that situation, what good has come out of it, what is of value to you that you've learned from it, who is of value to you that has come to you out of this situation, what you've learned, what you know, what qualities you now have. I mean, anything good that happened as a result of this, or even in the most trying times. And I want you to write these down, think about them, and reframe and tell your story in a completely different way from that perspective, and continue to tell that to yourself. Because if we identify with this side of the story, with this part of the identity, remember, it's not false, it's true. It's all true. And I'm not saying the other didn't happen, but we're not going to acknowledge it anymore. We're not going to carry it like a badge in front of us and let this be what defines us. We're going to look for the things, the good, the positives, the strengths, right? The closeness, the perception that we've gained from it, any knowledge that we've gained from it, any new qualities that we now have because of it, how our worldview has shifted, what parts of it have shifted for the better, any relationships that have grown closer or that you have now because of it, anything. And we're going to focus and tell a new story. And I promise you that this is hard. And I also promise you that this is one of the best things that you can do for yourself, is start to tell it from a different perspective, and don't stop. Once those bad, repetitive victimhood stories start to come up, like, cancel them, stop them immediately. And now you have your story, you've written it out, hopefully. You can repeat it. You can let these visuals, let these words play in your head. And you will change yourself over time to start believing and seeing the good, seeing the positive, seeing the value. And that will grow. That will grow. So your strengths will grow, right? The value that you learned out of this lesson will grow. Your relationships that you now have will grow. What you're starting to put value on, and what you're starting to focus on, and if you use this as your identity, that identity will grow and blossom and change you as a person. So I really hope that this video has been helpful. I hope that you give this exercise a try, and I really hope that you're able to shift your identity and let go of the current story that is defining you and defining your life and actually ruining your life. and tell a new story. And so if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, consider sharing it, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much.